And also, one final thing for me, Dad, like we found a different way to win against Preston. And we said this in the Bristol City. It was scrappy. It was the old Blues. It was a lot of fight. We defended for our lives, And that's what sometimes you have to do to win football games. It doesn't always have to be pretty, but you have to find ways to win. So welcome back to BCFC Royal Blue. And after 2 difficult away games, we're back at St. Andrews for our next 2 home games. And next up in those 2 is Portsmouth. Now, both teams go into this after losing 1-0. We lost 1-0 Bristol City at Ashton Gate, and Portsmouth lost 1-0 at home to Stoke. And with only 2 points separating us in the table, both teams are going to want to get back to winning ways. But in this video, we're going to talk about the game, talk about the lineups, what we might expect, and of course, end it as always with a score prediction. So, Dad, I think it's fair to say in recent videos, you've spoken about Portsmouth in quite a high regard in terms of the way they've been going about their business, sort of a bit quietly behind the scenes. And do you still stand by that?
I stand by the way that they are building their team. I like that. I see this is what Coventry did as well. So Coventry did this. They took a number of seasons and they kept building, not making major fuss. Just go about their business. I see Portsmouth like that because obviously they've had some pretty tough years. Portsmouth have been down the leagues and they're building their way back up again now, but they're doing it in a proper way. I mean, obviously when they had their points deduction and they were really mismanaged financially, weren't they?
They were.
I think they've clearly learned those lessons and they're building. I think they're building in the proper way. That's what I like about Portsmouth. But two teams, including ourselves, come into this in really poor form. They've only won 1 of their last 8 league games, and we've only won 2 of our last 8 league games, which is obviously symptomatic of where we both are in the league table. We're 15th and they're 18th. So I think it's one of those games where both teams will want to get back to winning ways. So I think there'll be a lot of incentive for Portsmouth. They seem to be better on the road actually, although having said that, I'm looking at my stats. I'm saying they're better on the road. They've only lost 1 on the road, but they've only won 1 as well.
Right, lots of draws on the road.
Yeah, so they played 5. They played 7 at home and 5 away.
If you iron out your home form and you can pick up points and get draws on the road, you do very well in the Championship. That's how you do well, isn't it? By picking up points on the road, but then being dominant in your home games. That's how a lot of Championship
their
teams
home
do
form's
well.
not great though. Unfortunately, they've lost. They've played 7 and lost. They've lost 4 of them. They lost 4 at home, won 2 and drawn 1. Whereas away, they've won 1, lost 1 and drawn 3.
I was going to talk about this a little bit later, but it's popped up now on the podcast. I mean, a real mixed bag of results in terms of, they've beaten Middlesbrough and Preston, they've drew to Leicester and West Brom, and they've lost to Sheffield Wednesday and Norwich. How do you read that? I mean, that screams inconsistency, doesn't it?
It screams Championship to me.
It does. But to beat Middlesbrough and Preston, but then lose to Norwich and Sheffield Wednesday, and then get those draws to those teams. Again, that just seems like a team to me who's struggling to find a little bit of consistency.
Yes, and I think 18th in the league table tells you that anyway, because they started off fairly well. I mean, they did. They sort of only lost 1 of their first 5 games, but then they've lost 2, drawn 1. Drawn and lost 2 again, so obviously their form is tailing off. But I think that sort of doesn't mirror us exactly, but it's the same vein as where we are at the moment. So that's why we're so close in the table. But if you look at where they are, their away form, they've picked up 6 points away out of 5 games. We've played 7 away, and we're just above them. Now their home form, is 7 points as well. So they're sort of 2/3 down both of those tables. But their issues is that just like us, they've only scored 10 goals in 12 games, and we've scored 11 in 12 games. So we're both right down. They're the 3rd lowest scorers in the Championship at the time of recording. We're the 5th.
Wow.
So this isn't going to suggest a goal fest, is it?
No.
In terms of they're not bad defending. They are 9th in the 9th best defence. With conceding 13. We are sort of mid-table with 15. Statistically, we're very close.
Yes.
To them.
On paper, very close.
On paper, yeah.
Absolutely. But I actually saw the extended highlights of the Stoke game, Dad, the one they lost 1-0 at the weekend. And of course, I'm sure Portsmouth fans are screaming, going, well, the extended highlights don't show all the game. I totally get that. It's hard to gauge the full 90 because I've watched our extended highlights sometimes. I'm like, why haven't they put that chance in or that moment in?
Yeah.
So I totally get that. But to me, it looked like a massive game of 2 halves. In the first half, Stoke looked like the most likely to score. I think they were unlucky. And then in the second half, Portsmouth really grew into the game. And a lot of fans picked up on that on their social media channels. They were like, we can't be a team that plays for 45 minutes.
That's like us.
And that's why I referenced it. I mean, look at the Wrexham game, Dad. First half to the second half was two completely different teams.
That's exactly like us.
And that's why I referenced it, because it made me smile a little bit, thinking that's exactly like Blues. In fact, the top tweet that on the Portsmouth page after the Stoke game was another defeat, got to play for more than half a game. Overall, we have gone slightly backwards from last season. So again, fan base are a little bit frustrated with where they are. And I think they're frustrated as well with their starting 11 and the recruitment that they've had this season, just in terms of, the manager making stubborn choices. He's sticking by a few players that the Portsmouth fans feel like they need to be dropped. And he's been loyal. I've picked out two names to players called Bishop and Kirk. Apparently, a lot of Portsmouth fans are saying they think they deserve to be dropped, but the manager's still sticking with them. So,
Kobe Bishop was their top scorer last season.
He was, yeah.
But I'm listening to that, what you're saying, which is absolutely fascinating, because I'm thinking that's the same as us, exactly the same, Because I think you could argue that there's certain players that Chris Davis keeps picking where some fans are saying, well, actually, maybe other players should be given a chance. It's exactly the same, and I think that's the issue with being a manager. But that's really interesting, that is, to get the points of view of the Portsmouth fans there.
Before we move on, though, Dad, Portsmouth are a big club. I think, it's good for football. When you think like Sunderland and Portsmouth and even Blues to some extent, we've had that little blip going down to League One. I feel like Portsmouth they're on their way to rewriting their history in a good way, but they've had a bit of a blip, haven't they, in recent years?
It's a massive blip. They've been right down the league. But one thing I always remember about Portsmouth fans, obviously I've been watching Blues for years, but every time Portsmouth come, they always bring loads of fans, and they're brilliant fans.
Yeah,
well, I don't know, bring him, he does my head in, but do you know what? They're good fans, Portsmouth. They're a well-supported club, and a proper, I would say, an old-style type of club, a little bit like ourselves, really, and I'm glad to see them coming on their way back. And I think, like I say, they're building properly. But of course, when it comes to Saturday, it's all about us, isn't it? Really, just a little bit on them, really, Matt.
Sure.
In terms of their playing style, they like to put lots of crosses in, and they do play a few long balls as well. So whereas a lot of teams play this sort of short pass and move, they do play a bit of that, but they will play long balls, which I think we should do a little bit more of as well. Very strong attacking down their left, and also as well they've got a consistent first 11. So like you mentioned, John Machinio tends to stick with his core players. One of the stats I've got as well, they're not the most aggressive team in the league. However, this is what you have to be wary of with these types of teams, because there has to be some competitiveness in the team. But if you're non-aggressive, then obviously it suggests to me that they're a good footballing side. They don't need they don't need to be pushing people around. But they've got a few weaknesses as well. So they are weak at finishing scoring chances. That again, avoiding offside is a common one for a lot of teams. That's a weakness as well. They're similar to us. Defending set pieces, they're classified as weak, and also defending counter attacks, and particularly weak at defending against long shots, which at the moment won't be an issue with us because I think Tommy Doyle had a few long shots against Bristol City, but they were like rugby going over the bar, weren't they?
Yeah.
I mean,
from the recent games I've seen from Portsmouth, Dad, when I was watching them in my head as I was watching the highlights and watching the games, they really reminded me of Wrexham last season. Again, like to pepper the penalty box when they are in the attacking third. When they do transition, they can transition quite quickly, so we have to be wary. When you think about Bristol City's goal, Dad, against the run of play with a moment of sloppiness, that's exactly what Portsmouth will do. They'll transition quickly and punish you. So another thing that I'm a little bit worried about, but not too much, is their wingers really drive with the ball at their feet. And if you think about Cochrane and Awata, I don't want to go so far as to say they are weak links, because they have had good games this season. Please don't take that out of context. But I think sometimes when we have pacey wingers, we do look vulnerable, especially when they drive with it at their feet. They're a little bit tricky, a little bit flary. I do get a little bit worried with our fullbacks. And I forgot to mention it on the Bristol City video, right? When Cochrane and Awata are when we're going up the pitch, they never overlap. They never have extra cover or protection for our wingers, and we do get caught out quite a lot. Whereas Portsmouth, their fullbacks will overlap all day long, and they get balls in the box that way. They overload on the wings that way, and it's a very, very powerful and effective technique. And I know there's a caveat to this, and it's pace. Awata and Cochrane aren't the fastest of players. If they get too high up, we will get caught out at the back. But you have to offer sometimes a bit of extra protection for Keshi, for Dimmy, for Patrick Roberts. They need a bit of protection so they can have a bit more creative freedom. And that comes with that overlapping full-back run. We don't do that, but Portsmouth do it very well. Sorry, Dad, you were going to say something there.
Well, I was going to say, the reason we don't, particularly on the right, is because when Brighton say Samuel's not in the team, or Ethan Laird, they do that run and overlap, don't they?
I think the clear standout is Ethan Laird.
Yeah.
Samuel does do it, but he doesn't do it anywhere near what Laird does. Because I think when Laird's on the pitch, it's it's an instruction from Chris Davies to pick him out as much as we can because of his pace, because of his mountain goat jumps. He's
we'll see. We'll talk about the Blues team in a minute in terms of whether we think Brighton will be back, but he does give us that pace, doesn't he? Yeah, but just to look at Portsmouth, one thing I was really surprised, I didn't even realise this when I did the research, is that Connor Chaplin, they signed him on loan from Ipswich.
He's going to get pelters,
He's the one that caused that melee, didn't he? Kicking the ball into the crowd, didn't he? So I hope he does get pelters as well. Within reason. I mean, let's be honest. I'm talking about let's do our
banter abuse.
Banter abuse. I don't mean like proper pelters, but he is loan transfer. They also brought in from.
He's
Tottenham.
Been poor actually, Dad, in the past few games, Chaplin.
Not
been creating as much.
Yeah, well, he'll have an incentive against us. He'll want to do well, won't he? And they also brought in a right winger, Min Hoing Yang from Tottenham. John Swift as well. I think that's a good signing, attacking midfielder from West Brom. Their top scorer, he's only got 3 goals, but again, this is going to be very, very typical of a team that's only right down there with scoring goals. Adrian Segicic, he's got 3 goals. Then Yang has scored 2. Then John Swift has got 1. Marlon Pat 1. So they're not prolific. John Swift has got 2 assists. So from an attacking threat, this has the possibility, and I hope it doesn't. It has the possibility of being a game of chess.
Yeah, they stalemate, mate.
Yeah, they play the same system as us, 4-2-3-1, and they don't deviate from that either. Yeah. So I think this is going to be really about. I've got a feeling it will be a game of very few chances. I think each team will phase each other out. But of course, from our point of view, we are the home team.
We have to impose ourselves.
We have to win this. And we've played 12 games so far, and 5 of those have been at home and 7 away that we've played so far. And we've only lost 1 at home. We lost our home record last time out. We were at home against Hull City.
Yeah.
But we've got to get back to winning ways. I mean, the away result against Bristol City, I think, has put the pressure on us here. I think we've got to start climbing that table. Portsmouth, because they're similar to us in terms of their league position, their form, these are the games we have to try and pick up 3 points against these type of teams.
But Dad, they're going to scrap for everything. I think Portsmouth will sit a little bit deeper than usual teams. That doesn't mean parking the bus. That doesn't mean the low block. It just means that they'll be slightly deeper than other teams, and that's their kind of strategy. But as I said, don't underestimate their ability to transition.
They won't be worried.
They won't be.
I think they'll look at this as an away game, and they'll see this for them as a winnable away game for them.
Yeah.
Based upon the other opposition that it could potentially be playing. So I think it's going to be one of these games where it could be a single goal.
But their biggest strengths, Dad, are counter-attacks and transitions and set pieces and getting balls in the box. So that's their style of play. So again, I agree. They're going to pay us no respect. They're going to come to St. Andrews thinking they can win this game, and why wouldn't they? But as I said, we need to impose ourselves. We need to shift the ball quicker, and that kind of segs us nicely into the Blues game, Dad. So obviously we gave them a little bit of stick from the Bristol City game. I still stand by a lot of what we said in terms of the whole robots, they looked a little bit overtrained and a little bit, like you described it as plugging a player in and then letting them go off this downloaded data. So I don't want to see that this week. I want to see a bit more freedom. Yeah, sounds like Braveheart. So no, I completely agree. And that segues, as I said, into the Blues team. Should we go for it? So, I did attack last time, so I'll do defence, and then you moved into the midfield and attack. Okay. So quite an easy one for defence, I think. I think I'm going to stick with Beadle in goal, Cochrane left back, Clara and Neumann in the centre halves. And again, depending on fitness and where we are, I'm going to go with the Water right back because Asori Samuel could still be injured. We haven't heard from Chris Davies in the pre-match yet, Dad. But if Asori Samuel's back, I'll plump for him.
Yeah, I've gone for Asori Samuel. I'm assuming he's going to be back, and I think we need him back. I think Water, as good a player he is, he's not a right back. He's done okay. Don't get me wrong. He's done all right as a stopgap, but we need a proper right back in there, and Chris Davies likes to have flying wing backs as well.
If it comes to it, Dad, again, Awata can play right back. He has played there in his career, but he's not a right back. Would you rather see Samsted there than Awata?
I would.
A natural right back in that position.
Yeah, I would. If I was Chris Davies, I would pick Samsted. I don't know what's going on there, but
I'm glad you said that because I was thinking the same. I'd much rather someone who's actually in that position than shoehorning someone else in every time for me.
I mean, Samsted's not the perfect player, but that's his position. He's trained to be in that position. He knows what to do. I would definitely put him in there ahead of Water. I would. But I've actually plumped for Beadling goal, Cochrane left back, and then Clara Neumann and Asori Samuel.
Nice.
Now the midfield.
That would be my position, Daddy, if Asori Samuel's fit, but we don't know that yet.
Yeah,
hopefully he is.
Now the thing with my selection is if Asori Samuel is in that right back position, Chris Davies, I think, is going to try and find a place back in the midfield for Awata but I haven't put him in there. I've my midfield is Leonard and Doyle.
Same.
Because I think Paik has gone off the boil. He doesn't. He's not disastrous, but obviously he cost us that goal, or contributed to costing us in that goal against Bristol City.
He's not a 10, Dad.
No.
And for me, Leonard and Doyle are proving to be the better sixes.
I think
Leonard's been outstanding.
Leonard's been very good since he
Yeah.
came in, and I think Doyle as well. I think he's still finding his feet, but he gives us something going forward.
Agreed.
So, and I think they make a good partnership. They started, didn't they, against
They did. Bristol City.
Bristol City. I don't think they didn't do anything
No,
too
I
wrong.
thought we controlled the game in the midfield quite well.
Yeah.
We just weren't creating chances.
Yeah, exactly. So I've gone for Leonard and Doyle in the sixes. I've gone for Damari Gray on the left, Patrick Roberts on the right, and I've gone for Marvin Duksh in the 10 and Stansfield in the 9.
Yeah. So I've gone for pretty much identical. I mean, I've got a few variables that we don't know yet. So Leonard and Doyle in my sixes as well. Dimmy on the left, Roberts on the right. So I've got Duksh as my first, but I've got Stansfield in brackets because
The 10.
Yeah. And again, we spoke about square pegs in round holes, but at the minute, we don't have a fit number 10. I mean, we have Fujimoto, and a lot of fans are rightly asking, he's played at a high level. Why is he not playing him? But you've mentioned him about being another Yakayama, kind of, sort of disappearing and clearly he doesn't fancy him. So we can't pick Fujimoto because we haven't even seen him.
No.
So he's not just going to suddenly start him in this game.
No.
So I've gone for Duksh, a bit like a Soy Samuel, if Duksh is fit or Duksh is fit. I'll put Stansfield in brackets if he's not, and then Kyogo up top. But for my starting one, Dad, I've gone for Duksh in the 10 and Stansfield in 9 as
That's
well.
quite similar
Yeah,
selection,
it's
really.
exactly the same.
I think the issue is going to be Iwata for me in my selection, because if Asoy Samuel is fit and able to play at right back, I think that he won't play Leonard and Doyle. I think he'll put Iwata in.
And that, for me, at the minute, on current form, that would be a bad decision. Just in my opinion.
I'm just looking at this starting lineup now that I've actually suggested. I think it's the first time that I've actually picked a starting lineup that doesn't include either Paik or Iwata.
I agree. Also, Dad, if Paik, let's say, starts this game, what kind of message does that send to him? It says that you're allowed to have bad moments in games and have bad games, and you're still going to get picked.
Well,
no one is undroppable in this team, in my opinion.
This is the scenario that you gave with the Portsmouth fans' reaction. They are saying that John Machino does the same. He tends to pick players when other players should be given a chance. So I think it's just sometimes it's managers.
A bit like Eustace and Scott Hogan. Remember?
Yeah.
Kept on picking him, even though we all could see it wasn't working.
And Wayne Rooney and Ollie Burke.
Yeah, exactly. All managers have their players.
Yeah, but the thing is, though, this is about winning games, and we're not saying that Paik and Iwata are bad teams, but if you base on current previous, the last half a dozen games, I think you've got to give other players the opportunity.
I agree, 100%, Dad.
So,
you have to have healthy competition for places. If you just give, Allsop's been dropped because he wasn't putting in the performances that we were expecting. We can all admit that. He hasn't been firing this season. Beadle's now stepped up and took his place and took his chance. And that's how it should be in football.
I think
it should be competitive.
Yeah, he's got to give the players a bit of a nudge to say, actually, you need to step up your game
100%.
because I'm going to put in these players in now. Next time you get in, you show me what you got.
And as you said, Dad, so far this season, the Championship, just so far, we know Iwata and Paik are good players. They haven't stepped up this season for me so far.
They're not the midfield that they were last season. And again, but this is a level up, isn't it? So it's a score prediction then, Matt. So do you want to go first or do you want me to go first?
So I'll go first on this one, Dad. And obviously not much separates these teams on paper. And all your stats lead to a stalemate or a very low scoring goal. I'm going to give us the home advantage here, and I'm going to go for Birmingham City 1, Portsmouth 0.
Yeah, I've gone for a win as well, but I've gone 2-1. Still a low-scoring game, but it has the capability. I don't think, based upon what they do and what we do, it doesn't suggest it's going to be the most attractive game of football. But
be cagey this
all that matters, I suppose, for both teams really, is to get the 3 points. Not just us, it's Portsmouth as well. But I'm hoping that the guys can put in a performance that shows us some goal-scoring chances. Just one final stat before I hand over you to do the outro, but. I mentioned in the Bristol City post-match that in the 12 league games we've played so far, 6 of them we've either had 0 shots on target or 1. That's not good enough. We've got to have more goal-scoring chances. We ain't going to score goals if we don't do that, and we ain't going to win games. And it's got to change. Yeah. It's got to change.
I think a lot of Blues fans, Dad, will take, like we mentioned before, having a go, hitting the bar, missing a penalty, corner scored offside. I don't know, all these different scenarios. Have a go. I mean, I'll clap the players off if we lose, if we've had a crack. The fight's been there, the battle's been there, we've hit the post, we've been unlucky. Those players get a clap off. But at the minute, we're just not even having a go. And that's disappointing.
And I'm going to be blunt as well, Matt. Some of the football is to be so predictable and boring because it's predictable. It's going to. It's like watching paint dry. You know,
Yeah.
you think, well, I know what's going to happen. You know, you want some excitement,
Yeah.
just something, you know, something to spark us. You know, and I'm sure the thing is, I think we've got the players to do it. We've got some decent players, but they've got to start producing now.
And also, one final thing for me, Dad, like we found a different way to win against Preston. And we said this in the Bristol City. It was
Yeah.
scrappy, it was the old blues, it was a lot of fight, we defended for our lives, and that's what sometimes you have to do to win football games. It doesn't
Yeah.
always have to be pretty, but you have to find ways to
Yeah.
win.
Yeah.
And I want to see that this weekend. I want to see us get those 3 points because you said the pressure will start to mount very soon, won't it? And you
yeah.
need to win your home games.
Yes, yeah, really,
So,
really important game.
Really important. So as always, Birmingham City supporters, we would love to hear from you. Please let us know your thoughts in the comment section below. Maybe you're a Portsmouth supporter, you've seen our channel before, maybe you've tuned in for the first time as well. We'd love to hear from you. Please let us know your thoughts in the comment section below as well. And if you liked the video, please don't forget to give us a thumbs up and check us out on our social media channels. We have an X page, we have an Instagram page, and we're also over on Spotify, so you can watch and listen to us over there. And if you haven't already, don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel and press that bell icon so you get notified every time we post. And myself and Dad will see you on the next one, all about Birmingham City.